Mel Brooks never shouted or caused drama. Instead, he remembered. He remembered every actor who ruined a scene, broke his trust, or made filming harder. Now, at 99, he finally speaks up. Mel worked with hundreds of stars, but 7 names stayed with him for all the wrong reasons. These actors were talented, but something went wrong: ego, attitude, or just bad timing. Mel never made a big scene. He simply removed them quietly. This video reveals those 7 actors he could never forgive. It's not about hate. It's about rhythm, respect, and knowing when the joke is no longer funny. Before we dive into video, please subscribe our channel. Mel Brooks did not just make comedy. He created worlds full of chaos, energy, and timing. For over 60 years, he directed some of the most loved and legendary films in Hollywood, like Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein. But behind the laughter was a system, a set of rules only he knew. Mel did not like loud arguments or dramatic fights. He liked order, rhythm, and trust. If an actor could not keep up with that rhythm, Mel did not complain. He simply cut them out, quietly and forever. He believed every actor was part of a bigger machine. Each line, joke, or scene worked like clockwork. If one person went off beat, the whole film suffered. That's why trust was everything to him. He needed actors who believed in his vision, followed his lead, and respected the work. When someone brought ego, ignored direction, or tried to take over, Mel did not wait around. He remembered, moved on, and never looked back. These 7 actors were not forgotten because they were bad at acting. In fact, they were all brilliant in their own way, but something broke in the process: an argument, a missed cue, or a failure to understand Mel's unique style. And when that happened, there were no second chances. This is not a list of hate. It's a list of heartbreaks, disappointments, and the hidden rules of one of comedy's greatest minds. For Mel Brooks, getting cast was never the reward. Staying cast was. In this video, we dive into the 7 names Mel Brooks could not forgive. Some were close friends, others never even made it to set, but each one played a part in a story Mel never forgot. This is the world behind the laughs, and sometimes the silence speaks louder than the joke. Number 1. Frank Langella. Frank Langella was supposed to be perfect. He had already played Dracula on Broadway to great success, tall, dramatic, and full of presence. So when Mel Brooks began working on Dracula, Dead and loving it, casting Langella seemed like the right choice. But from day one, it was clear something was off. Langella treated the role like a serious drama. He delivered his lines like he was performing Shakespeare, not a comedy. There were no jokes, no playful energy, just slow, serious scenes that dragged down the whole cast. Mel tried to guide him gently. He gave notes, changed lines, and even added classic Mel Brooks humor to help him loosen up, but Langella did not respond. He took every scene seriously, refusing to embrace the silly, chaotic tone Mel wanted. During one rehearsal, Mel gave him a funny new line. Langella paused and asked, "Do you want me to mock the text?" That one question told Mel everything. Langella did not get it. By the end of the week, Mel made a quiet change. Langella was out and Leslie Nielsen was in. There was no public fight or drama, just a silent goodbye. Nielsen, unlike Langella, knew how to play serious while letting the comedy shine around him. That was the difference. Mel never publicly insulted Langella, but he never mentioned him again either. For Mel, comedy was about rhythm and trust. Langella brought gravity when Mel needed chaos, and once the rhythm broke, Mel never tried to fix it. He just moved on. Number 2. Gene Wilder. Gene Wilder was not just another actor in Mel Brooks's world. He was family. Together they created comedy magic. Films like The Producers, Blazing Saddles, and Young Frankenstein were not just hits, they were groundbreaking. Their bond was built on trust, creativity, and shared madness. But sometimes, even family breaks apart, not with a fight, but with silence. After Young Frankenstein, Wilder wanted to direct his own film, The Adventure of Sherlock Holmes' Smarter Brother. He had written the script and hoped Mel would produce it. But Mel said no, not because it was bad, but because he did not think Gene was ready. Wilder took it personally. He expected support, but felt rejection instead. That single no changed everything. Wilder moved forward without Mel. The film had familiar faces, Marty Feldman, Madeline Kahn, but something was missing. The magic was gone. The connection had cracked. For years, the two did not speak. There was no public argument, just distance. Quiet disappointment filled the space where laughter used to be. Eventually, they met again at an event. No grand reunion, just a handshake and a few shared smiles. But they never worked together again. Mel once said Gene was the only actor he trusted with his half-finished ideas. After that, he never shared like that again. Wilder did not betray Mel out of anger. He stepped out of the circle, and Mel never opened it twice. The wound was not loud, it was quiet, deep, and final. In Mel's private world, Gene Wilder became the friend who broke the thread. Number 3. Chevy Chase. Mel Brooks had a sharp instinct for people. Before a single line was spoken, he could feel whether someone belonged in his world. With Chevy Chase, that instinct gave a clear answer: no. Despite Chase being a comedy star in the 1980s and 1990s, Mel never cast him, not once, and that was not by chance. It was a decision. Chevy Chase had the look, the voice, and the fame. Studios pushed his name forward for several Mel Brooks films, especially Spaceballs, where he was suggested for the role of Dark Helmet. But Mel rejected the idea quickly. He did not want ego, he wanted chemistry. According to Brooks, Chevy did not know how to share a scene. He interrupted, he overpowered, he always had to be the smartest person in the room. Brooks was not looking for a solo act. He was building ensembles, teams where the joke passed from one actor to another like a rhythm. Chevy's style did not fit that pattern. One quote summed it up: "He doesn't act, he waits for his turn to prove he's clever." That was not comedy for Mel, it was competition. They met once, briefly. It was cold, forgettable. Mel smiled and said, "Maybe in another universe." That was the end of it. Chase never entered Mel's creative circle. Mel never hated Chevy Chase. He simply knew he wouldn't work, because in Brooks's world, comedy was about trust and timing. And Chevy, for all his success, never played for the team, only for himself. Number 4. Harvey Korman. On screen, Harvey Korman was gold. Mel Brooks trusted him with some of the funniest roles in his films: Blazing Saddles, High Anxiety, and History of the World. Part 1. Korman had incredible timing, a gift for physical comedy, and could hold a ridiculous expression just long enough to make the audience explode with laughter. But behind the scenes, things were different. Korman came from the world of sketch comedy, especially The Carol Burnett Show, where actors had freedom to improvise and explore. Mel's sets did not work that way. Brooks ran his productions like a conductor leading an orchestra. Every beat, every line, every reaction was carefully placed. But Korman often strayed. He questioned direction, changed line deliveries, and wanted to build characters his own way. During High Anxiety, this caused constant friction. Mel gave clear instructions. Korman wanted rewrites. Mel asked for timing. Korman paused, adjusted, and pushed back. It was not a blowout fight. It was slow, quiet resistance. As the shoot dragged on, Mel grew tired. Crew members called it passive warfare. They barely spoke directly by the end. Notes were passed through assistants. Korman isolated during breaks. The performance still worked. Korman was too talented to let tension show, but Mel never forgot the struggle. After High Anxiety, Korman's name vanished from Mel's projects. There was no public fallout, just a quiet end. Brooks once said, "Some actors bring joy. Harvey brought brilliance. But it always came with resistance. And for Mel, that resistance broke the rhythm he valued most." Number 5. Jerry Lewis. Mel Brooks admired Jerry Lewis, but from a distance. Both were comedy legends. Both wrote, directed, and acted in their own work, and both shaped the future of American humor. But where Mel believed in ensemble and rhythm, Jerry believed in control and spotlight. That difference kept them apart. Studios often pushed for a collaboration. They thought it would be a comedy dream team. But Mel always said no. He respected Lewis' talent, especially in The Nutty Professor, but he did not respect his attitude. Jerry had a habit of rewriting scenes, taking over sets, and turning every moment into a performance, even off camera. The final straw came during casting for a film called Lifeinks, a dark comedy Mel was developing. The studio suggested Jerry Lewis for a major role. Mel refused instantly. He reportedly told his producer, "I don't need someone who thinks he's funnier than the film." That one sentence said everything. They met once, at a private dinner. Jerry arrived late, spoke non-stop about himself and the future of comedy, and barely acknowledged Mel. Mel listened, then left early. He never entertained the idea again. Publicly, they remained polite. No insults, no drama. But Mel later told friends, "Even geniuses get banned when they mistake the set for a mirror." He was not looking for a star. He was building a team. And Jerry, for all his brilliance, did not know how to share the stage. Mel did not hate Jerry Lewis. He just saw the storm coming and chose to walk away. Number 6. Dom DeLuise. Dom DeLuise was one of Mel Brooks's favorite people until he was not. Their early collaborations were filled with laughter, joy, and wild improvisation. Dom had a huge personality, a booming laugh, and the kind of comedic energy that lit up every room. On films like Silent Movie and History of the World Part 1, he was unforgettable. But sometimes, the thing that makes you shine also burns too bright. Dom had a habit of going off script. Mel allowed some freedom, but he still expected actors to stay within the rhythm of the scene. Dom's wild energy often disrupted that rhythm. He would ad-lib entire sections, force extra takes, and steal focus, even when the moment was not his. Mel started to see his energy not as helpful, but as distracting. The final clash came during Robin Hood, Men in Tights. Mel gave clear direction, no improvisation, but Dom could not help himself. He made up lines, cracked jokes, and made the crew laugh, but ruined the shot. Mel did not scold him. He did not argue. The next day, Dom's role was reduced. They never had a public fallout. Mel still spoke kindly about him, but Dom was never cast again. Behind the kindness was a quiet decision. Dom brought too much chaos to control. Mel once said, "He was hilarious, no doubt, but sometimes it felt like he was performing for another movie." In the world of Mel Brooks, even beloved friends could be left behind if they broke the beat one too many times. Number 7. Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor was supposed to be the heart of Blazing Saddles. He co-wrote the script with Mel Brooks, bringing raw truth, biting humor, and fearless energy. The plan was simple. Richard would play Sheriff Bart. But when the studio learned about his off-screen issues, especially with drugs, they refused to insure him. Mel fought hard, but in the end, he lost. Richard did not get the role. Cleavon Little took his place and did a brilliant job. Still, something between Mel and Richard broke, not in anger, but in heartbreak. Pryor had helped create the story, shaped its soul, but could not be part of the final product. They stayed friendly, even respectful, but never truly close again. Pryor's unpredictable nature made Mel cautious. They talked about working together on future projects, but it never happened. The fear of chaos behind the scenes was too strong. Mel needed trust and timing, two things Pryor, with all his brilliance, could not always offer. Mel once said privately, he was lightning, but lightning doesn't ask for direction. It was not hate. It was a missed opportunity, one Mel never stopped regretting. Richard Pryor was not cut out. He simply drifted away. The silence between them was not cold. It was full of everything that could have been. In a different world, maybe Pryor would have starred. Maybe he'd be in more Mel Brooks classics. But Mel never gambled with rhythm. And Pryor, for all his genius, was a beautiful storm. Mel was not willing to weather. In Mel Brooks' world, talent was never enough. What mattered more was rhythm, trust, and knowing when to step back for the greater good of the scene. These 7 actors, each brilliant in their own way, broke something deeper than rules. They disrupted the flow, challenged the vision, or brought chaos where Mel needed control. He did not scream or shame them. He just moved on, quietly, finally. To Mel, the set was a symphony, not a solo act, and once that harmony was broken, there was no second chance, because in Brooks' world, getting cast was not the reward. Staying cast was